something in me wanted to protect her, I think, is the initial feeling I felt. I want to protect this girl's aspirations, and I want to make sure that there is not a gap for her, and the level of aspiration she had, as it's just a given and she's going to get it and she's going to go there until she gets it, is really cool. That inspired me also to her.
Welcome to Water People, where we talk story about the aquatic experiences that shape who we become back on land. I'm your host, Lauren Hill, joined by my partner, Dave Rastovich. Join us as we gather stories, insights, and useful skills from some of the most outstanding waterfolk on the planet. We acknowledge the Bundjalung Nation, the traditional custodians of the land and waters where we work and play, who have cared for this sea country for tens of thousands of years. Respect and gratitude to all First Nations people, including elders past, present, and emerging. This season is supported by Patagonia, whose purpose-driven mission is to use business to save our home planet. Today, we're in conversation with big wave surfer Laura Crane. Laura's interest in surfing began at 13 after her family moved to North Devon. She became UK champion at just 14. Since then, Laura has represented Great Britain internationally as a competitor while also balancing a modeling career. After a brief stint in reality TV, Laura set her sights on heavy water. She's the first British woman to surf famed big wave Nazaré. We dialed in to connect with Laura, where she's now based in Portugal, and learned that she's currently recovering from knee surgery. Laura spoke candidly about the pressures of coming of age in the surf industry of the 2010s, one that measured her worth and so many women's worth solely in terms of exposure, and the mental health challenges that ensued for her. Laura told us about grappling with disordered eating, what it feels like to be amongst some of the heaviest water in the world, and how she's helping others to befriend fear on behalf of personal growth. She speaks with such purpose about a film that she recently starred in and produced called Undercurrents, about a young surfer whose aspirations she wanted to protect and to nurture, and what it felt like for her to be the adult in the room this time around. The film toured in the UK in sold-out screenings. At the surface, this is a conversation about big wave surfing and recovery, but the subtext is all about trust in the body, in a mentor, and in the ocean's power to both humble and elevate. Just a note, the audio quality is a little dodgy for the first half or so. We were really feeling the geographic distance here, but the quality smooths out toward the end. It's worth sticking with it. We always start the podcast by asking about a time or experience after which you were never the same. Would you mind sharing a moment like that with us today?
Yes, I think the first moment that came to my mind is definitely injury. It's something that's super real for me at the moment. I've just had an operation on my knee, and it's the first time I've ever been out of the ocean this long, out of the things that I love to do the most, whether it's movement, traveling, just generally kind of being in the ocean is definitely something I've missed the most. And I think the lessons I've learned in injury, whether it's this one or the last ones, is always comes back down to, for me, how attached I get my identity to the things that I do. At the beginning of this injury, I think more than any of the others, I really hung on to that. And I, was really kind of like berating myself for being injured again, and not giving myself and my body the time that it was quite clearly asking for. So I think that for me is the biggest lesson, that in the end, it doesn't matter all the things that you achieve. It's really how much happiness you can cultivate in your day, whether that's in injury or out of injury. So I think that's probably been, the thing that changed me the most is having the things I love the most kind of taken away for a short period of time. And
definitely
is the knee, that's, in the surfing world, knees and shoulders are really commonly injured. Is this your first knee injury? Interesting.
Yeah, I think I tweaked it like a couple of years ago, but this is definitely, I've been out of water now for 4 months.
Oh boy, do you at least have a good story about how it happened? Like, you weren't just walking in the park or anything, were you? Please don't say that.
No. At least I was at Nazaré. It was literally the day after I had the best wave I had ever had there, and just woke up the next morning, tried to go and get another one without listening really to my body. I was knackered, like so exhausted. I could almost see it coming. But yeah, I just felt like in a really silly place that I had never fell before. It was almost like my body just gives up. You can see in the bottom. I'm just like, oh God, I'm tired.
Wow.
But yeah, the consequences there are obviously fair.
Yes.
And this is after not too long ago breaking an ankle also at Nazaré. Is that right? Kind of successive season injuries? Or was that this?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think all those things, that's where the lessons come, right? Is I definitely rushed back from that injury, just so eager to like keep on this kind of like trajectory of what I was doing that, yeah, in the end, your body, it needs a rest too. And I think I'm really learning that I'm not 21 anymore. So I have to also give my body that time to heal and yeah, be ready to go again. We're learning always.
Yeah, I can relate to the knee one. I've popped my knees many times. I've never had to go under the knife for the like rehabilitation, but the last time I buckled my knees, I did both my knees at the same time. There's the medial ligaments on the inside. And someone was telling me about how the knee is the first part of our body that moves forward when we move in a forward direction. It's the knee. And so it's this really significant kind of symbol for, I guess, yeah, the direction our life is heading in when that's happened, what you're doing when that happens, how you feel about it. Like, you know, because when you have that moment, you're laying in your bed and you're dealing with pain and you've got lots of time to think about things and feel your body and review everything. I thought that was an interesting one. Have you come across anything like that in your 4 months of dealing with this injury?
Yeah, definitely. It's so funny because everyone kind of says at the beginning of a injury, I found you'll come back stronger. Like all these inspiring quotes of like, you'll understand why it happens
Oh,
in the
no.
end. And I was like, shut up. Like, I don't want to know why this has happened. And I was so resistant to quite literally exactly what you said, like all the messages that this injury was trying to tell me, I suppose, of um, yeah, needing to slow down. I think many of us have the same problem of like wanting to achieve these goals that we set, but also I think I'm definitely, yeah, sometimes guilty of, I guess, not giving myself a pat on the back as well when those things do come into fruition after putting so much hard work into it, like just constantly on to the next thing, next thing, next thing, next thing. Yeah, without realizing how good it already is where I am. So yeah, I can definitely say that it's been some good perspective to really have like all of those things that I love the most kind of taken away for a short period of time and understanding that, you know, if I don't listen to my body in the moments that it was trying to speak to me, like this will keep happening. And, you know, Nazaré is Nazaré. You have to always be grateful in the end that you come out, you know, a knee injury is a knee injury and it's something that I'll come back from. So I think there's lots of like ways of looking at it. But yeah, I am weirdly grateful that it's happened. There's definitely really tough days and moments where I just want to like totally give up on any recovery at all. I'm just gonna get pissed with my friends all summer. But yeah, in the end, I don't think that really is going to help me. So yeah, just trying to be in the now of it and enjoy all the small little lessons, enjoy some of the like slower moments, been able to read my book and stuff, which yeah, usually I don't.
What are you
Do much.
reading?
I have actually this like wedge of a book that my friend's brother gave me. It's called The Covenant of Water, and it's yeah, it's the biggest book I've ever read. So I've got time. I'm
Great.
just chipping away.
Has it hooked you in yet? Has it got you? Or not
Yeah,
yet?
I got hooked in. I don't know, when I read, I feel like I'm in some sort of flow state, I suppose. I'm not thinking about like all these other things. And definitely that's probably what I've missed most about surfing and being in the ocean is that kind of disconnected moment where you are just somewhere else. You're almost like in another world. So yeah, reading's helped a lot.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'd love to chat about your origin story. Laura, you grew up surfing a pretty inconsistent, sort of largely onshore part of the Atlantic coast. I'd love for you to talk us through where you grew up, how it shaped the kind of surfer you've become. What do you think it is that kind of environment puts into a person that maybe warmer, more perfect waves don't?
Yeah, it's a question. But yeah, I grew up in North Devon, so it's like the southwest coast of the UK, and that place makes you really tough. It is brutal. Like even I was there last week, midday summer, and just like the wind can turn at any moment, and all of a sudden you're like, where has this come from? This like savage, just like knife cutting wind. But yeah, it makes us tough, and I'm so grateful for all of those like 6 a.m. serves before school and just savage conditions, honestly. But that's how you know that you really love it, I think. Like there's been so many moments of my life and I'm like, is this really like is this it? Is this really what you want to do? Is this it? I think to be able to still go home and enjoy surfing 2 foot onshore waves, the fact that that never gets old, I think I must still love it. So yeah, it's where it started for me. I didn't know anything else. So I think going around like the headland when I still arrive home, that view for me still is some of the worst waves I've seen in my life, but it's my waves. Like it was where I got inspired to get in the ocean, and it will always be a really special place for me. And I think there's like that classic thing, isn't it? When you can score home, there's nowhere as good as scoring your own hometown. And I will still stand by that. Like my home beach has got some of the sickest little, beach break sections. And yeah, I wouldn't be where I am today without it. So grateful for North Devon. It's actually one of the only world surf reserves in Europe, as well as the one that I live in here. So yeah, I'm really proud of that little place that has given me so much opportunity over the years, honestly. But it definitely makes you tough. There's quite a few like emerging young groms that are all kind of pushing towards that, more, I guess, wild form of surfing, whether it's like popping over to Ireland or like spending more time near like Nazaré and like these bigger waves. So we definitely we create some tough stock down that wave.
No doubt. I'm curious about how you and your family ended up in Devon. Your dad, as I understand it, fell in love with surfing and moved the whole family from the city to the coastline. How do you reflect on that decision now that you're an adult? Specifically, what was he modeling for you in making that kind of decision?
Both my mum and dad are really sporty, always had been. Like our family, that's always been our way of kind of bonding and spending family time. It was always like ski trips, or yeah, that was how our family enjoyed to spend time. So I think the more time we were like going down to the coast on the weekends, and I remember moments where my dad would stay on a Sunday and I would have to go back to the city to go to school. And I kept saying to my mum, this just is like so unfair. I don't want to go back to the city. So it's kind of just like this underlying conversation as a family that kept on happening and happening. And yeah, that was it. Mum and dad kind of made the decision to move us to the coast. And now I'm older, I understand how much of a big deal that was to like upheave your whole life, even though it was only, 3 hours down the motorway. It's huge. Like my dad had a business there. My, mum had lived there for like most of her life. So I think now I appreciate how much of a big change that was for them to, they wanted to give me and my brother a more outdoors, nature connected life. And I can safely say that had they not made that move, like I have no idea what I would be doing. So just endlessly grateful to those two for jumping in, I think.
Are you still surfing with your dad? Is he still surfing?
Yeah, he's definitely more of a fair weather surfer these days. We went to Costa Rica for a family holiday like 2 years ago, and both him and my mum just like grabbed a soft top. They were like straight out there. They were like, yeah, this is our kind of surfing. And me and my brother were like, oh, okay, so you guys can still surf. You just do it on your terms.
Fair enough.
Totally.
I was curious to ask you about this decision you've made to keep your old Instagram posts up, the ones from when you were young, 15 even. That early era of Instagram was such a photo first economy that really rewarded female bodies in a very specific way. And most of the women who lived through it want to bury it. They want to forget it, I think. But you've chosen to keep those photos visible. What do you want people to see when they scroll all the way back?
It's funny because I actually have never thought about keeping it for other people, which is interesting. I definitely pass through lots of like different emotions when it comes to my journey, like with social media in the industry, I suppose, as a whole. But there's been so many moments I've looked back at them and thought like, oh God, they make me feel uncomfortable. And that for me is almost why I want to keep them there, because it was so difficult not to give up and to believe that, yeah, at some point the world was going to want to see the kind of things I wanted to show it. And now when I look back at those pictures, I'm so proud of her for not giving up and all the things that, yeah, I guess back then I just had blind belief that, the world was maybe a little bit more championing of women and their crazy goals. And I think growing up, I learned that I was going to have to do that for myself and the other women around me and the women that come after me in the same way that the women that came before us did for us. So for me, there's no shame around it anymore, because I did what I had to do to get where I needed to get. And I'm always trying to heal those pieces that I guess I had a lot of shame for. And it was a difficult thing because the industry in some way was like villainizing you for being this like over sexualized thing and like being thirst hungry for likes and whatever it is. But in the background, we had, yeah, people like measuring our worth in contracts by how much exposure you were getting. So it was an incredibly difficult space to be in, especially for a young teenage girl. So yeah, I think I look back now at those posts and I don't have shame for it, because that was my journey. Like that's where I came from. That's what we had to kind of survive, to be able to have the voice and the stage that we do have now as women, and be able to shout and scream about the things that we really, really love. So yeah, it's all part of it. No shame, part of the journey.
It's such an incredible arc, and it's been such a beautiful thing to see surfers like yourself really take the reins on your own story, your own narrative, and move into this incredibly powerful oceanic prowess that, like, from the outside, we all would have never known that this surfer was inside of you, because she wasn't given the opportunities that she probably should have been given earlier in life. So yeah, like, well done, and what an inspiration you are to have built this beautiful career. I don't want to belabor this point because you've spoken about it quite broadly, but part of the sort of underbelly of that culture, that industry that you were speaking to, often led to disordered eating as athletes tried to make their bodies smaller, model small, even though they were trying to be performance fit. Yeah, and I don't want to dwell here longer than we need to, but I want to ask you how we can be useful. I'm thinking about, you once described your eating disorder as kind of like a friend, something constant in your life, something you were scared to lose, even though you knew you had to end it. I haven't ever heard anyone speak about their experience so intimately before. And I'm thinking about the people closest to someone who's in the throes of disordered eating, partners or parents, people who are outside of the struggle, who are struggling to understand why it can't just stop. Like, what do they need to know? What do they need to know?
Yeah, I think the most common misconception with disordered eating, especially like bulimia and like anorexia, is it's very rarely about food. And I think that was the most freeing thing for me to realize, that I didn't have an addiction to food or eating and binging and purging. It was a cry for control. It was to have control over something, over anything, when everything felt just so out of my control. So yeah, as a young girl traveling, and I was also modeling full time, like when I was home in England as well. So I had this like total balance, or unbalance, I suppose, of just never know where I was going to be kind of within the next week or so, all the time. And I was like fresh out of school. I was 15 years old. And I think it was the thing that was always there for me when I felt super stressed, super overwhelmed with all the things that were going on in my life. It felt like a friend. And I think I always want to be careful with how I frame bulimia, because it will teach you that it's your friend. It will teach you that without me, you're not going to be able to deal with this uncontrollable moment in your life and all of these things. It's an addiction at the end of the day. So I think the way that I was calling it my friend was, it was something that was always there for me, and not necessarily in a positive way. It was almost like one of these toxic friendships. So yeah, it's really interesting. And there has been lots of moments, even within this injury, where my bulimia kind of like thoughts have reared back up again and again. It's in a moment where I feel out of control of what's coming next, which we always are anyway, and trying to put some control over it, whether it's shrinking your body or yeah, like trying to shrink stress. It's never really connected to the food. So it's yeah, that for me I think is one of the most like helpful things to understand, that the disordered eating isn't just a direct kind of product of wanting to get skinny or necessarily just limit your food. It's generally something much deeper. So yeah, an emotional, I guess, contact always.
Thank you for sharing such an important topic to talk
Mm.
about and not easy. So thank you. Super, super grateful. You've said
Thank
that,
you.
yeah, you've said that Eric Rebiere was the first man in the surf industry who saw you for your physical ability rather than your aesthetics. That's crazy. You were in your late 20s, I think, at that point. What I just
Yeah.
wanted to ask you what changed in you having someone else see your athletic potential.
Um, yeah, it was interesting because I had been out of any, like, once I had finished my contract with Billabong, I was 22 and just like so ready to be out of that world completely. Like, I wanted nothing to do with it. I actually moved to the mountains and like snowboarded for 2 years and just had total disconnect from, yeah, like everything I knew, honestly. I was super ill with my eating disorder. And that for me was like, okay, I'm done with this industry. It's like sucked me in, chewed me up, and just spat me out. And I have no idea kind of which way's up, which way's down. So that was it. It was kind of the beginning, I guess, of me finding like, the beginning of finding who Laura is outside of this industry, that, I wanted to fit in it so badly. I would have done anything just to be accepted, honestly. So yeah, when he'd actually followed me since like I was young on social media. I knew him locally from like the community in Portugal, and he also used to be on Billabong like as one of the older European guys. So I had known of Eric Riviere my whole life. Like, he's a legend. There's, the stories I had heard about him in and out of the water were always just like wild. So yeah, for me, he's a legend like in the game. So for him to send me a message basically saying like, Laura, I've been watching you training for, a year and a half. Your body's, built for surfing big waves, for toe surfing. I think you'd be great. I'd love to train you. And that was it. I just went through like a huge breakup. I was just in this kind of like yes era of, yeah, like I think I was kind of out the back of really getting therapy for the first time, and just having this like new lease of life, I suppose, of nothing kind of like pulling me back and always there on my shoulder. So that was it. I literally flew to France like a week after, and I learned to tow with him, which was super fun. I was just like in the ocean having fun again, and this was kind of where it all like started. I was like trying like little airs and just doing things that I don't know. I felt, yeah, like a little kid again, and it was super fun. And him and I spent like the full summer with him and his family, kind of like there and back from France, and it was really special. And to feel somebody had that kind of belief in me, as I say, like maybe it wasn't the first man to ever see my body for its physicality, but that's how it really felt for me. Somebody was giving me time and energy, and I wasn't paying him to do what he was doing. So it was genuinely, he believed in my ability. So yeah, I will always be really grateful for that.
That's such a cool story. It makes me wonder, had you seen any or many women living out or illustrating that kind of like physical strength in the ocean that you really were inspired by at that point?
Yeah, for sure. The girls that I like surf with out there now have been my inspiration since day one. Like, for me, Maya definitely has been, I suppose, my like biggest idol in this space. Just all the shit that she went through to get to where she wanted to
Yeah.
be is for
Yeah.
me, more inspiring some days than the wave she surfed there, because I
Mm.
know how brutal it is to be a woman, even in that space now. Like, can't even imagine. Well, I can, because I've seen her movie and I've seen her talk about it and things, but I still can't imagine how it would be to have so many people around you doubting you, and you still go out and you still surf and prove them all wrong. Like, I've had
Mm.
an amazing support system around me since the beginning there, and for me, that's the most courageous thing she ever did was sock it to him and just go for it. So yeah, Maya's definitely been one of my biggest inspirations. She also was one of the people that spent a lot of time with me when I was learning to drive at Nazare, which is obviously really important for safety things and just being a valuable player in the water. But as women, especially to have that respect in the water, it's I think the jet ski driving is one of the harder things to do out there because you're always just on guard. Like from surfers, I guess the surfing part's easy relatively. Most of the time it kind of goes straight, but it's all the things that happen around it, which for me was really important. And she really hammered that into me, how important the driving was too. So just, having even in the water for the beginning of my career there was incredible. Justine, obviously, like always charging and going for it backside as well. Like she's mental. So yeah, it's sick. Like those are the girls that I definitely, those two that I grew up just, watching, like they were kind of next to me in idea because I loved to think that I could do what they do, and now to be out there and given that opportunity is sick.
It's so important, isn't it, just to see each other. I actually remember surfing with Courtney in Nias, at Lagundri Bay in Nias.
Courtney Conalog.
Yeah, Courtney Conalog. Was that like 2015 or 13? Somewhere when we were first together, I went. We were on a Surf Aid trip there together, and Billabong was backing Surf Aid a lot at that time. So we're doing some really cool stuff together. And then Lagundri got like as big and as thick as that wave gets now, which is really quite a girthy, technical, fantastic slab of a wave. Like it's incredible. Anyway, we were having a couple of days there. We just happened to be there in time for the best big swell of the season, and I got to see Courtney come out of this one wave in particular. I'll never forget it, where I just got a good one. I was in the channel about to paddle back out, watched her take off just steep and deep, scoop under the lip, completely disappear, even though I was on the shoulder looking in. And when the spit came out of the wave, she came out after it, already with her arms up like this, like in a flexing, like, oh, look at my muscles. And she had muscles, and her six-pack was showing, and she was just screaming, like totally in control. And she came out of the mist, and I squealed. I remember just squealing. It was so amazing. It was so amazing. I'll never forget it. And I can't wait to see her at some point in time and tell her about it again and reminisce. But it's just fantastic when we see each other have those moments. And I just can't help but think, what a bummer for you all to be young girls and just not getting to see that enough, and it is a different world now, I think. What do you feel?
No, for sure.
Oh, don't go there yet. We'll get to there.
Yeah, but just that thing, of like just seeing it. It's amazing.
You're right. Yeah, it's sick. But like, I think the only real surf, I was actually having this conversation. The surf movie as a woman I remember looping as a kid was Blue Crush. Like it was a Hollywood movie. Like we didn't even really have like surf. I think Leave a Message was the first, like the Nike 6.0. And I was speaking to Laura about it the other day actually, and saying how pivotal that Leave a Message like video was for me as like a young girl. It was the first all-female like proper surf movie. Like the girls were doing airs. It was the first time I'd ever seen the girls do airs because nobody had ever documented it. And it was just sick, this real like, I guess, coming of age kind of like, it felt like a chick flick, but it wasn't. It was a girls surf movie. And I think that was the first thing I'd ever seen. So when I look now at the girls that are 16, the same age I was back then, it's so epic to see how much representation they have. Like that wave of Courtney, maybe none of us have ever seen it because it wasn't as filmed and all those kinds of things back then. But I guess for me, I can use that wave of Katie Simmers in the Maps to Nowhere trip. For me to watch a fellow female surf waves like that, and just I think how vulnerable she is also in the pursuit of getting it, is what I think is so incredible about female surfing, especially now, because there used to always be this having to prove, show no weakness, show no weakness. And I actually think the most powerful thing as a woman and in women surfing I'm seeing is this vulnerability of being like, okay, this is my superpower also, to be able to be vulnerable in those moments and put it on the back burner, but also get shot out and put my guns up in the air and be stoked like Courtney. So I think there's balance. Like it's just epic to see women being women in in all of their varieties. Like I'm proud of
Yes.
where we all bought it.
Totally. It's so fascinating because there actually was a wave of women's surf films before the Leave a Message films, but because the industry wasn't covering and creating continuity between these waves, it for each successive generation, it's felt like there's no history of women surfing because the male journalists and storytellers who are making all of the decisions about what matters and what women's surfing looks like, they aren't pulling the thread all the way through. And so we get these big gaps. And I feel like that's been one of the upsides of social media, at least, is that we get this community conversation around the globe happening, and we get to, keep checking in with the Carissas and now like even the Rochelle Ballards and the Kiala Kennelys, and we get to pull those threads all the way through for ourselves. So that feels like, at least a healthy thing about the social media situation.
Yeah, definitely. Like I love to follow like Lisa Anderson still and like see where she's at, because it doesn't mean that you all of a sudden like get to this place and okay, like maybe when we were younger, like I guess the brands would be like, okay, well, like you've had your time now, like that's good, we're gonna move on.
Yeah.
But it's still like a human existing in this world after. Like I want to know what happens to my heroes, I want to see what they're up to, and all of those things. So yeah, I think you're right. It's so nice to be able to actually follow the people that you want to, and watch the things that will inspire you, and for the younger generation too. Like social media is such a crazy place, but I do believe for women and women in sport, we wouldn't be where we are today without that, definitely.
Let's take a quick break to thank the generous folks who help us make the podcast possible. Patagonia is in business to save our home planet. Founded by Yvonne Chenard in 1973, Patagonia is a surf and outdoor apparel company based in Ventura, California. As a certified B Corp and a founding member of 1% for the Planet, Patagonia is recognized internationally for its product quality and environmental activism, as well as contributions of nearly $230 million to environmental organizations. Its unique ownership structure reflects that Earth is its only shareholder. Profits not reinvested back into the business are paid as dividends to protect the planet. Learn more at patagonia.com.au. A couple of years ago, our dear friends took us to their favorite hidden gem in Indonesia, Nalangkala Eco Retreat, nestled in the cliffs of Sumba. In addition to farm-to-table food, Nalangkala offers daily yoga classes, immersive cultural experiences, open-air bamboo bungalows, and a beautiful right-hander out front. We all loved it. Learn more on Instagram at NGALUNG_KALLA. That's at Nalangkala on Instagram. What do you do when your sunnies get scratched? We get replacements from the Sunglass Fix. They carry more than 600,000 lens options, a solution for virtually any frame. 1 billion pairs of sunglasses are made each year, with hundreds of millions ending up in landfill. The Sunglass Fix offers free lens shipping in Australia and to 161 countries around the world. They're ready to help make your favorite frames last longer. Use code WATERPEOPLE for 10% off your purchase today at thesunglassfix.com. So I was trading waves with friends recently on a sizzling summer day. Afterward, we guzzled down fresh water mixed with Sodi's everyday hydration salts. Sodi is Australian-made, sugar-free, with salt from an ancient lake in WA. We keep a tub on the kitchen bench, a month of electrolytes in recycled and recyclable packaging. Sodi is offering Water People listeners a free 8-flavor sample pack and 15% off your order. Just head to Sodi, that's SODII.com.au/waterpeople, or click the link in the show notes. I'm really curious, Laura, about where you were in your surfing career and the pressures that you had to think about your body in a certain way. And then you get this message and from this legend, Eric, and you start training with him. When is the turning point for you when you start thinking about your own body differently, less in terms of your aesthetics and more in terms of your athletics? Was there a moment, or did it happen gradually over time?
Yeah, I definitely have to give credit to getting therapy, because I think just berated my body's image for so many years that I forgot how incredible it is that it just wakes up every morning and
Mm.
carries me through so many different things. So I have to say, without therapy, I don't know if I would have had that shift so soon. But I believe that it's, yeah, having to really learn those dark shadows and what it is that kind of, I guess, was making me look at my body in such a negative way. And once I kind of understood what those limiting beliefs are, where they came from, and that they weren't really mine to hold anymore, I definitely felt more free to, yeah, explore what my body could do. And I found myself definitely like back in the gym because I wasn't scared of getting, I would always have this thing of like, I don't want to be big, you know, I didn't want to be, yeah, I didn't want to look strong, which in turn was the thing that I was trying to get my body to do all the time. So as
Part
soon as
of,
I had
yeah,
surrendered,
part of the
yeah,
impossible beauty standards. Be both at the same
for
time.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that for me was the most freeing thing to realize that actually my body isn't what it looks like. It's how I feel. It's the things that allows me to do that bring me joy. And yeah, just I started to live, I think. And I've always loved going to the gym since I was really, really young and feeling physically fit. So that was almost like a hand in hand, I guess, evolution of kind of the therapy and like getting better and learning that I deserve to feel good in my body, I think was also huge. But yeah, just being in the gym, getting stronger and feeling physically like, wow, I'm kind of a freak, like, wanting to put in this time and feeling hungry for a goal again was it was really empowering, I think, more than anything.
And did you get a pretty quick like feedback moment where you, I don't know, paddled out or went towing one day in waves larger than you'd previously ridden and you felt capable, or certain turns or anything that clicked in the water?
I've always definitely preferred like paddle surfing, but when I was first learning to toe surf, like there was so much new physicality that I had never experienced in surfing before. Like even just holding on to the rope, getting pulled around, especially when Eric Rivier's your driver, he takes no prisoners. It's brutal. It's tough. Like it's tough on your arms, tough on your whole body. You're getting smashed. You hit the water way harder. So yeah, it was really apparent that, and at the beginning of surfing, maybe a meter in like southwest France. So it's pretty chill. Nothing like too crazy. It was the summer. I think the first time I really realized like how savage it was going to be was the first time I surfed like a swell in Galicia. It was with Eric, and I remember just getting absolutely smashed. Like had been training really hard, like my legs to be solid. Like there's a lot of bumps. It's the Atlantic in the winter. Like there's not really many smooth days, and so I was prepared, but I'm in my body. But I don't think, yeah, I was mentally prepared to trust that my body could do it. And yeah, I was feeling a bit nervous. So there was, there's people watching us on this like rock, and I had only just really learned to do this like within the last like month or so. So there was a lot of, yeah, I think I realized in that moment that your body can only carry you so far. If your mind's not willing to back it up, then yeah, it'll come crashing down pretty quickly. So yeah, I don't know if it was physicality or knowing that I just needed to actually believe in my physicality. Like
Mm,
that, yeah, people might look at you and think that you're not cut out for this, but you're the only one that really, really knows how much you
mm.
put in, or willing to put in.
Yeah, well done.
I'm curious about the detour you took somewhere along this journey, Laura, into TV. How was that chapter, and what have you taken away from those choices?
Yeah, it's also such an interesting question because I guess growing up in this industry that championed our appearance so hard, and that was definitely when I finished my contracts with Billabong and kind of left the surf industry, I was so lost and fully in my eating disorder. That I think part of me kind of thought that like, okay, well, I've not been accepted in the industry I would have loved to be accepted in because, in effect, you got villainized, I suppose, for how you looked from the surf industry because you were like, just a bikini surfer girl, so say. And then, so you weren't really accepted there, it felt like. And then I didn't feel necessarily accepted as a standard woman because it was, this time between super skinny girls and the kind of Kim Kardashians coming through. So it was such extremes of like super skinny or like really curvy, voluptuous bodies. And like, I don't know, I kind of sat in the middle in this weird space of like a strong, sporty body. So there was not much representation, I suppose. I didn't feel like I fit in the surf world or anywhere. So it was this up and coming time of reality TV, and it was definitely this like over glamorized, like everybody was all about their appearance and how they looked. And I was like, well, maybe this is my space. Like I'm a little bit different. I'm a surfer. Like maybe this is what I'm meant to do. Like I'm gonna go in there and try and shout about strong women, and I'm gonna just be representation for what I needed to see on TV at 15. And I'm gonna swim in that swimming pool all day, every day, so that one girl feels represented at home somewhere. It was, oh God, it was the worst 2 weeks of my life. It was absolutely horrendous. I hated all of it. It was terrible. But I learned so much about myself like in that time, and I'm so grateful that I went and did that, because I know definitely my space in the world isn't in reality TV. But you have to go to know, right? Like how are you meant to know? And I'm super grateful for having that opportunity. And yes, for sure, like it grew my profile as a person in the UK, which now I'm again like super grateful to have the support of the people that did feel represented by me, I think back then. And yeah, that crew has just got tighter and more supportive. So I'm forever grateful for the new audience that show also gave me outside of the surf world too, for sure.
I'm on the jury for this wonderful new international surf film festival coming up. It's called the Noosa Film Festival, and as part of the panel, I got to watch your new film called Undercurrents.
We got
we
to
both
watch.
sorry
Yes.
we both got to actually we did, and our little boy Minnow, who's 8, and he loved the film too. What I wasn't expecting was how much about friendship and mentorship the film was. It's so beautiful, and I couldn't wait to ask you where the idea came from and why you chose to put your time into it.
Thanks for the kind words. Yeah, this project for me was so healing, honestly. It was insane. I had O'Neill come to me at the end of my last season saying that they wanted me to make a video, kind of like docu-style of my journey within big waves of the last few years. And I kind of sat with it for like 24 hours and I was like, God, I haven't done it yet. Like I haven't finished the story yet, like I'm still living it. And I feel like to do a mini doc every 2 years just isn't inspiring for me personally when it comes to content. Like I don't think I would feel inspired by watching like that. So I was thinking about like, okay, how can I tell maybe like my story or my experiences through somebody that's also going through it. And I came up with this idea to mentor Amari. I guess she kind of came to me also with the idea. I met her like a year before at this O'Neill event, and she came up to me. She was like, "You're Laura. You surf Nazareth. I want to do that." And I was like, "Nice, sick." And she was just again like this cute little like half Irish, half British, grew up in Indo. Like she just had like this crazy energy, like really infectious. And it really reminded me lots of like how I was before the world told me all the things I couldn't be. And I just like something in me wanted to protect her, I think is the initial feeling I felt. I want to protect this girl's aspirations, and I want to make sure that there is not a gap for her and all of those things. So it started definitely as kind of just wanting to give that opportunity. I knew I was in a position where I could give it to somebody, and yeah, she was perfect. She was honestly perfect. Like it couldn't be any more perfect. In fact, in the end, she just did so incredibly well. And we bonded on things that I never thought we would really bond over. And, there's 15 years more or less between us. And so much has changed in many ways, but also just so much hasn't changed. And like hearing the conversations that she was having with other girls or her mates and things was in some moments a little bit sad, because I felt we hadn't come a long way. But then just to see the kind of level of like aspiration she had, as it's just a given and she's going to get it and she's going to go there until she gets it, is really cool. Like that inspired me also in time.
I can't help but think about how, like you said, healing it must be to have been the young girl in front of the camera with all of the adults in the room, allowing these decisions to be made to exploit young girls' bodies
Mhm.
in ways that we can probably all agree now are totally inappropriate. And I think about those adults and how I wish they would have done better. And also how now we get to be the adults in the room who get to make better decisions and make sure we don't go back there. And I really felt that in this film in such a beautiful way. You stepping up, not as an elder yet, but as a wise adult woman who has really strong boundaries and vision for where we're going.
It was inspiring. I think all of us, and it was actually one of my really good friends from home in England who made the movie, so like directed and edited and filmed everything. So like we just had this such tight girl gang, and it was amazing. We almost kind of picked up more women as we were going along our filming journey with it. So yeah, it was more than just filming a movie. That one definitely very very healing, as you say.
How has O'Neill, or how has whoever you have managed to share it with? Because I guess it's still early days of it being seen by people, but how do you feel it's being received?
Yeah, we did actually like a UK film tour, which I was a bit nervous that nobody would come. I kept saying to
Oh
her, like,
yeah,
no one's
that's
going to come to
terrifying.
this. I was
100%.
so nervous. And
Yeah.
she's like, we'll put 5 dates up. I was like, this is, I just pray, like, please. Um, and the response was insane. We sold every single one of them out, and it was obviously in the UK and one here in Portugal. And that in itself, for me, like that people turned up to watch an all-female surf movie in the UK as well was huge. That for me in itself, like nobody could have watched it, but to sit in the room, and very rarely these days as well do we actually see people watching our things. Like half the time we'll post, I used to post more vlogs, and I used to think, well, if you go and make a cup of tea for 8 minutes, you're going to miss the whole vlog. So you never know if people are really seeing it, like you post these things and are people watching it? Are people resonating with it? So to do the movie tour, I think for the arts it was really nice to watch people see all the work you put in, and just to come out of the house and watch it with us was really special, and be able to answer questions about it and connect with the people, because I guess that's why we're creating all these things, right? Is to like speak to others on like a wider range of topics and stuff. So to be able to actually share it in person was really special for me, and just to see like lots of young girls in the audience, but also lots of men with daughters that wanted to learn a little bit more about how they could support. And yeah, it was really really special.
Okay, it's one thing to want to surf big waves and be in heavy water, which I want to ask you why that is for you. And also, it's another thing to be responsible for someone else in the water. Did you feel that sense of responsibility out at Nazare?
Yeah, Amari's mum and dad are like the coolest people ever. They're great. But I did feel I wanted to meet them. I actually flew to Indo, and I met them. I spent a couple of days kind of just getting to know them, and I guess trying to reassure them that their daughter was safe with me. That's something my parents didn't have, I suppose, when they let their little girl go off traveling. So it was almost like an opportunity for me to rewrite all the things that I wish had been a bit different. So yeah, went there, spent a few days with her family, and I think it wasn't until we obviously arrived to Nazare that I, you know, really realized kind of like what we had taken on, because she had never towed in her life. She had no idea how to even like get on the sled. It was all like we had to learn everything within 10 days, and also hope that there was going to be a few like manageable swell. It was a storm pretty much the whole season. So there was definitely fear of what I had kind of like taken on. But again, I have to say, like, there was never a moment I doubted that girl. Yeah, she never gave up. And even in moments where she was a bit down on herself, or I had to get a bit more like serious about certain things because it was like a safety thing and it was obviously like really real. She didn't do any like teenager strop. She just like bit the bullet, understood straight away. She was like, cool, got it, no worries, sorry. And that was it, moved on. And I think for me to know that, when we are in those moments where like things are happening really quickly and Nazaré all of a sudden it's like laughing and joking to just 360, everything's completely shit hitting the fan. So to know that she understood and just respected the space that we were in, I think I trusted her, definitely. I trusted her ability and mine, I suppose, as well, to know that I'm also ready to go and get her out of whatever situation she ends up in the inside. I will be doing everything I can to go get her. Yeah.
It's so great. It's really good. It's so I find this conversation so hopeful and so interesting that it started with such a different story. Like you speaking of, where were the mentors for you? Where were those inspirations for you at that age? It's just great. I really hope a lot of people get to see the movie. We loved it, and
Really great.
and our little fella, he loved it, which I think says a lot too. Like there's a proper story there, so good on you all for like digging into that. There's a lot of surfing centric stuff out there that isn't that way, and I think we're all pretty tired of it. So it was really wonderful to see that.
Yeah, balanced with incredible surfing too.
Exactly.
Like
yeah.
Brave, powerful, skilled.
Appreciate that, especially coming from you guys. Thanks. It really means a lot.
Yeah, keep it up.
Yeah. Your brother, he trains with you, travels with you, you run retreats together. You've said that you drop in on each other. I heard you say
That's a sign of love.
He's the person.
Yeah. That doesn't sound like it, but that is. Yeah.
I drop in more than him, definitely.
I'd love to hear about that relationship, that other constant, or what seems like a constant in your life. What it's been like having him alongside you through tricky terrain.
Honestly, forever grateful for that relationship. I think, to have a sibling is so many things, but definitely I wouldn't be the athlete I am today without him. Like, to have somebody 6 years younger at you, always kind of clipping at your heels, is a sure way to make sure that you meet your milestones, definitely. But since we were really, really young, we've always been that for each other. Like, my dad built us a little mini ramp in the garden, and my brother was definitely a skater. But I just remember him like bigging me up, always like, come on, you can do it, you can do it. Like, whether it was dropping in or trying a new trick on the skate ramp. And that was more our kind of thing. And he actually never really surfed that much because, his older sister did it, and it was her thing. So it wasn't until he got a little bit older that he actually really got into surfing.
Yeah, my brother's relationship, it's definitely one of the biggest, I think, conditions to be doing what I'm doing. Like, we train together, we travel together. He's actually living in Nicaragua at the moment, just having a break from his big sister, so we'll give him that. But I'm just so grateful for that relationship, because he believes in me in moments where I absolutely don't believe in myself. Like this year before the WSL contest, I was so nervous. Like, it was the biggest waves I have ever seen in my whole entire life, and like I was hearing like all of the like chatter around the harbour. It was like also the biggest waves that like lots of people had ever seen. And I was like, oh my God, this is mental. And just to have my brother there, like, shake me and check my canisters in my flotation vest, it was enough to make me feel ready. Like, I've always got this like team behind me that believe in me more than I do in some moments. So I will forever grateful for him, definitely.
That's great.
It's so beautiful.
Good trust.
Yeah, I wanted to chat about the retreats you've started putting together, this business you've built. The wellness industry is obviously enormous right now. A lot of it aimed at women. A lot of it is around aesthetics, and you're taking a very different approach. It seems like harnessing many of the skills you've learned and you're sharing them with other people. You host retreats, and it seems like you've been building a program around using fear, befriending fear to move closer to your goals. Where did that concept come from?
I think, again, it's just learned through living, right? The things that I actually started it when I was in the kind of depths of my recovery from bulimia and in therapy. I really started to connect with the ocean again, and it wasn't surfing. I didn't want to surf. I just wanted to cold water swim and do kind of swimming in like these really beautiful cold water sports, and I got really into ice baths to deal with, I suppose, the anxieties and things that I used to use food for, and kind of like binging and purging. So it was trying to find newer, healthier ways of calming my, nervous system and regulating myself. And this was kind of before a time that was very talked about, and ice baths and, meditation was just for hippies, and it wasn't like a everyday talked about thing, so it was having to find all these things that worked for me that, yeah, I think especially in the UK, we're like a little bit weird. We weren't that well versed in, I guess, yeah, those kind of ways of healing, I suppose. So I started it because I wanted to, I suppose, share what I had learned that really helped me out of those dark moments, and share it with other people, because I was figuring that it was actually really simple, and I was just kind of looping these, yeah, like limiting belief thoughts that actually when I was immersed in cold water, or I was doing something that I thought I couldn't do, the kind of chemical reactions that were happening inside me to believe that like I could do another hard thing. And it's just this kind of gradual stepping up the ladder of like, wow, like all of these things I'm kind of like ticking off and proving to myself every time I think I can't do something that I do. That it's, yeah, it's almost like your coat of armor gets a bit stronger, and you're ready for the next thing. So that was, I guess, the essence of what I wanted to share with people. And obviously now I've passed into this big wave space a little bit more. It's easier to speak to people about it. I think it's, a clear representation of what happens if you start to face your fears a little bit. So it's been really nice that it's resonated with people. But yeah, it's tried and tested. So I think there's a lot of excitement behind that for me, and knowing that definitely it attracts a lot of women, but also men. Our retreats aren't just for women. I think there's a lot of that out there, and I think it's really beautiful to create those spaces for women. But for us, it's open to all. And we're even, in the beginning it was just surf retreats, and just trying to like get more people like into that way of thinking, and trying to effectively like create a nicer environment in the water if everyone was a bit more like chill was my grave idea. But yeah, they've definitely evolved, and we've got like a full workshop now that we've worked on with a company, and it's just been really cool to see the things that we as surfers use as, just everyday tools, and seeing how that resonates with people that aren't as lucky as us to have this like such strong connection to the ocean, but kind of teaching them how they can have it with different things, whether it's ice baths, walking in nature, that it's, more about a frame of mind, I suppose, that you're in when you do those activities is what we're trying to share with people. But yeah, it's just, I love it, like to spend a full day with people and seeing people try things, and have this just like aha moment of like, oh my God, I can, is really powerful in lots of ways. So yeah.
I'd love it if you could take us to that wave you referenced before, that like best wave you'd had up to that point at Nazare. Like, of course, there's probably fear and adrenaline swirling, but like as you're dropping in on this huge wave, you're feeling the sensation of speed. What else? What are you seeing, and what are you feeling in your body?
It was crazy because the morning I got that wave, sorry, the morning before that wave, it was the WSL contest. And as I said, it was, had been called already the biggest WSL Nazare challenge ever. And obviously it was only my second year. The year before I had broken my ankle. So I can safely say that morning, my stomach was churning. Like, I knew it was huge. That was, what we had been waiting the last 2.5 years since I had been at Nazare for. I had, died to see a wave that perfect and huge. And yeah, it's beautiful. Like, there's no other words for it. Like, when I pulled out to the peak for the first time that day, like, just saw it. It's like you're in another planet. It breaks so much further out than it usually does. Like, there's so much going on, but also feels like nothing going on. Like there's only one thing going on, and it's waves. So yeah, I think I almost got rid of the nerves in the morning. Like once I had surfed that first heat and got like a few waves, I definitely felt more calm throughout the day. they then cancelled the second half of the contest, which we were all gutted about because it was obviously like amazing waves and we didn't want to miss it. You know, we had such a bad season of conditions that when this day pulled up, like we just wanted to be all day in the water. So my team and I, as soon as they called it off, literally like chucked our rash vest, got straight back on the skis and headed out there. And I was actually going to let my brother surf first because he'd been caddying for us in the morning and he hadn't got a wave. So I was like, dude, like this is all you, like just go for it. And he was a bit like, oh, do you know what? Like, I'm good. Like, I've not really been in the mental space for doing it today. Like, it was, you know, I was so like worried about just getting you through the day that I don't know if I'm mentally like in that space. And I was like, well, okay then. I'll go. And yeah, that was it. I literally jumped off into the water. Like I was holding the rope. It was the first wave I had. Tony, my driver and team partner, he said to me, he was like, there's a bomb coming. And it was only us in the water. We were the only team that went straight back out after the comp had been called out. And yeah, that was it. It was me, Tony, his dad, and my brother. And this thing just came through. And I actually remember like not feeling nervous, just feeling so in the right place, right time. Like I had so much trust in whatever was going to happen. And I think that's the problem with lots of things is when we like attach so much to how it's gonna feel, how it's gonna look. You also, you know, I think can take away what the moment actually is meant to be, you know, when you get so attached to how you think it should look. And that wave, I was total just in almost awe. I remember feeling of like, oh my God, this is it. Like this is everything I've worked so hard for, is to be in the right place at the right time to surf a big, perfect, huge wave. And I think in that moment I was like, yeah, this is gonna happen right now. And I don't remember much of it. I just know that I was like in total flow, like it just happened almost to me, it feels like, in so many ways. And I had seen that wave a million times in my head, definitely. And so it was almost like when you're there, you're just there, so there completely. And I definitely remember like looking over my shoulder and you can hear obviously like hit the water, like the lip when it hits the water is just like the most incredible like explosion. And I remember like looking over my shoulder in that moment of like, okay, that was also kind of a good line because we seemed pretty close to the thing. So yeah, it was just, I think, an accumulation of so much time put in, so much effort. When it all comes together, like I remember coming off the back of that wave and I just broke into tears immediately. Just all the emotions. I felt everything, and I think only a surfer knows that feeling. You'll never get it again, exactly the same, and that you're not meant to. Like there's only one, right?
Well, not many surfers know that particular feeling, I would have to say.
So great. You know,
yeah, but I think everyone has like a massive wave, right? Like whether it's getting bow, like I think for me, still one of my favorite waves is like one wave I got at Desert Point, and it definitely by no means was the best bow ever ridden. But for me, it was just like such a special moment, right? And I don't know if that wave is any less special than the one at Nazare, or the, you know, the biggest wave that I've paddled, I think still holds more kind of, yeah, like value in my memory box than those big ones. So it's yeah, I think everyone has their perfect little moments.
Indeed. Your story makes me think of a Duke Kahanamoku quote that he had told various people in the surfing timeline about surfing, where he said to keep surfing in your heart, to keep it in your heart, with your words, with all the things we talk and create around surfing, and the layers we put on top of it, and how lost beneath all those layers it can get, especially when it's been complicated with career, sense of self, industry, finances, mirrors everywhere. And I can't help but cling to the word that you used among that great description about that wave. That word is awe. And I saw you all, you know, steaming up to those peaks on the skis, looking at those moving pyramids. And it reminds me of when I got to be at Piahi many years ago, and early morning go up to the wave and see that every like 20 seconds a new Sistine Chapel, a new Great Pyramid was being built by the ocean and then destroyed and vaporized into rainbows and then built again in a new variation and then destroyed, and then that just goes all day. And like, how are we going to find words to describe that kind of thing? But it's the awe, and I love that in those lineups. I love when that atmosphere of awe is there, and I know it can disappear in those lineups when there's that feverishness, that desperateness, that clinging, that craving that happens. You know what I mean? You're nodding, and I know there's that human element that happens in those big wave lineups, which has tended to keep me away from them, because I feel like it's a strange juxtaposition to have one of the most awe-inspiring natural experiences of your life, seeing those waves like that. Like that's, if you aren't there in that channel, in that exact spot, no one else on the planet will ever see or experience what you saw and felt in that spot. And I'm just wondering, like, because I haven't been out at Nazaré, I don't know what it's like particularly, but, you know, I've watched plenty of the footage and I only have my other big wave experiences to reference. But how do you keep that awe when you're out there and there is the craziness and the desperate nature of craving that one wave that everyone's wanting because it'll lead to X, Y, and Z? How do you keep that awe in those moments?
That's a really good question, and something I've really had to, manage. Nazaré is full of egos in good ways and bad ways. You know, I do think there is an element of like ego that you have to have as well to be able to do those things, but measured, you know, and there's, I don't know. For me, the first time I ever surfed Nazaré was on like a 3-meter day. Just drove up from Ericeira, like surfed the beach break, and it's still like a brutal wave. Like even at 2 meters, like it's savage. So I think there's always an element of respect I have for the wave because I paddled it, you know, at like a reasonable size, and then obviously I've towed it and I've also paddled it at, you know, solid sizes. So I think people always used to say to me like, you'll never really know the power of Nazaré until you paddle. And they were so right. Because a jet ski is one thing, right? Like 9 times out of 10, if you've got a good driver, like your driver's going to be there at the end of the wave to pick you up. The only time it really goes wrong if you know, are not well versed in going straight down the face and you fall. So I think there's, you know, lots of risks, of course, that like, you know, falling is inevitable in lots of moments as well. And I think for me, it's to never lose sight of the power of it. I think for me is the most awe-inspiring thing about Nazaré and the ocean as a whole is like just how powerful it is, and like that we really are nothing in the hands of it. And I think if there's ever a day where I ever think I'm more invincible than the ocean, then I've really got to check myself. So I think that is really the way that I always try to just not get too big for my boots, you know, and know that ocean will always humble you. It doesn't matter how cool that you are, it will always humble you. And I think that's, for me, the most precious thing, that as soon as your ego starts to like grow a little bit outside of you, the ocean knows.
Thanks for listening with us today. Our editor this season is the multi-talented Ben J. Alexander. The soundtrack was composed by Shannon Soul Carroll, with additional tunes by Dave and Ben, and this special track, Sunseekers by Andy Sixstring. We'll be continuing today's conversation on Instagram, where we're at Water People Podcast, and we're now on Substack. Sign up to get bi-monthly updates in our newsletter called Field Notes. It's where we share behind-the-scenes stories from making the podcast and the books, films, and music we're absorbed in at the moment. Written by us, free to read. Link is in the show notes.